Thundarr the Barbarian.
Thundarr the Barbarian, 80s cartoon explored. The 80s continues to be one of the most iconic eras for animated series, and one of the shows that helped to kickstart it was Thundarr the Barbarian, a story set in the dystopian future of 3994 AD, where the world is a ruined wasteland. Three friends, Thundarr, Princess Ariel, and Ookla the Mok, go on adventures across the wasteland. The show was created by the iconic Steve Gerber and produced by Ruby Spears Production. It ran for 2 seasons, with season 1 having 13 episodes and season 2 having only 8. But it's a shame that it was discontinued eventually. Thundarr the Barbarian soon became an iconic show, which took inspiration from several notable works and inspired more works in the future, namely He-Man. In this video, we will talk about why the show is in 80s glory. We will also talk about our main characters and go over some interesting facts about the show itself.
Away, fiend, or feel the fury of my son.
Now, before diving into this content, we would like to make a very small request to our viewers. Please subscribe to Marvelous Videos, like and comment on our videos, and press that bell icon to be notified whenever we upload a new video. We will be absolutely grateful to you, and we hope to bring you the best nerdy content. So, without further ado, let's get right into the video.
No man can repel our lasers with a sword.
I am more than a man. I am Thundarr.
What makes Thundarr the Barbarian a glory of 80s cartoons? Thundarr the Barbarian hit the screens in the year 1980.
He is Thundarr the Barbarian.
It created a huge shift in the cartoon category of visual entertainment, since the animated series that came out during the late 70s in America were often not that good. Of course, you can definitely blame budgetary issues for that, along with the same old comedy that was gradually becoming, stale. In the 60s, the Hanna-Barbera style of stagnant animation revolutionized the game. With animation being super expensive before Ronald Reagan's time as president, Hanna-Barbera began to use static backgrounds to cut down on costs. Gradually, the limited movement became a coveted style in itself, with characters performing very limited motions against a stationary background.
Thundarr, please! Give me one reason I shouldn't finish you.
Things have changed a lot since then, and Western cartoons excel in fluid motion as they adhere to the frame rate of 24 frames per second. However, things weren't so different back in the 80s. As a result of this, Thundarr the Barbarian wasn't very different from the Hanna-Barbera shows that it took animation inspiration from.
Stay back! Zogar is mine!
And if you assume that this can reduce the splendor of the series, then that's simply not true. We've already mentioned how this particular limited movement style became a coveted art form in itself. For example, Japan tends to use this technique for anime, since their budgets are often a lot less compared to Western cartoons like The Legend of Korra. But that doesn't hinder anime's popularity at all, and in fact, the 6 to 12 frames per frame rate motion in their animation has helped solidify its popularity. The same can be said for Thundarr the Barbarian.
Jack has done them harm enough. They will not fall prey to this creature as well. Come!
Being a work of the early 80s, the people really didn't have other more fluid works of animation to compare it against. On top of that, its plot and settings were what helped make Thundarr the Barbarian a cut above the rest. It took direct inspiration from several comic books such as Flash Gordon and R.E. Howard's Conan the Barbarian.
Your magic can't touch me, wizard!
The story, as we already know, is set in a dystopian future, namely the 3994 AD. The Earth is a wasteland that has been divided into territories, each territory being a kingdom. A majority of these kingdoms have wizards and rulers. At the forefront, we have Thundarr himself. He was inspired by comic book heroes like Thor. He is muscular and possesses a powered weapon called the Sun Sword, which can carry out several marvelous feats. Cartoons and fantasy action plots are no strangers to having a trio at the forefront, so it is no surprise that Thundarr fights his battles with his two best friends, a sorceress called Princess Ariel and Ookla the Mok, a strong lionish creature that walks on two legs. The world from Thundarr is set in an alternative reality where the events unfold right from the year 1994, which is close to 28 years in the past by now. A runaway planet from outer space has hurled itself between the Earth and the Moon in 1994, causing widespread cosmic destruction. Humanity is ruined, the Earth's geography has turned over its head, and the Moon was split. 2,000 years passed by and the Earth was reborn once again, but it's nothing like the world that existed before the catastrophe. This new world is overrun by sorcery, extremely advanced science, and savages. In this world full of savages, Thundarr the Barbarian, a former slave who escaped captivity, wants to fight for justice. As a result, he fights the evil sorcerers with his two friends and his prized weapon.
I hate to do this, but...
Notable in the setting is its constant visual reference to the original historic places in the United States of America. The show depicts New York City, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and Mount Rushmore, among several other places. However, they are all in ruins from the cosmic destruction and the subsequent passage of time. The moon also looks slightly different. Following the split from the runaway planet, the stray pieces of the moon were drawn together by gravity and they formed a new satellite that closely resembles what the moon once was. The world has changed, but it has settled into a new balance. With Ruby Spears at work, it is no secret that Thundarr the Barbarian will feature comedy, which is also a prevalent characteristic in cartoons.
Masks will allow you to breathe and speak underwater.
Be brave, Ookla.
However, the production company's comedic works in animation, which were prevalent throughout the 70s, weren't perceived in the best light. This was primarily due to its monotonous nature, and if you want an adventurous series, you'll have to break through that monotone. And so, Ruby Spears sought out Steve Gerber, a comic legend who excelled at writing action and had immensely contributed to notable works such as Howard the Duck, Marvel's Iron Man, Submariner, and Daredevil. For Thundarr, he contributed to setting the tone of the show with its sorcery theme blended perfectly with the sci-fi world. Even the villains, who are wizards, incorporate advanced science into their physiologies. There is Mindok, the Mind Menace, a scientist from the pre-cataclysm world who lost his body but retained his mind via artificial means. Cyborg wizards aren't out of the norm either, but the show has organic villains such as amphibious warriors and werewolves as well. Now, you could call the show's choppy animation a blessing in disguise. Visual mediums are versatile, as animation can be splendid enough to not require a strong plot at all. Even if they do have a strong plot, the animation takes things to a whole new level. So, when you don't have the budget to pull off top-notch animation, you have to make your plot and design your strong suit. For Thundarr the Barbarian, legendary comic book artist Alex Toth came through with some of the designs and brought this futuristic fantasy aesthetic to life. He was joined by another legend, Jack Kirby. Now, this is the man who created Iron Man, Captain America, the Hulk, Thor, Darkseid, Professor X, and the list just goes on. With the reins of design in his hands, Thundarr the Barbarian was catapulted into atmospheric levels. Unfortunately, The show ended up having only 21 episodes. Oof. If it had come out later, the popularity of Star Wars would have surely helped increase the popularity of Thundarr, and a higher production budget could have also allowed the show to be extended beyond just the few episodes that we have seen. But nevertheless, it set itself apart by bringing a fresh wave of novelty to the Western animation industry.
Battle creature, your beams could not even reach me.
Thundarr the Barbarian, the protagonist of the series. With a rich background and lore from this fantasy sci-fi, we must dive into the main trio who are ever present throughout the series. Thundarr. Starting with the protagonist himself, Thundarr is a hot-headed man with a strong sense of loyalty. He became a slave quite early in his life and was forced to fight as a gladiator. He was also the favorite gladiator of the evil wizard named Sabian. The wizard had an adopted daughter, Ariel. Thundarr eventually became friends with her, and Ookla managed to escape following a slave revolt. After this, the three of them began to fight the oppression and the enslavement of people across their world. They freed the people and fought the evil wizards. He has been created under the image of heroes such as Thor and Conan the Barbarian. He is a muscular man with blonde hair and carries a sword called the Sun Sword. As for the sword, this was given to him by Ariel herself so that he could defeat the wizard that kept him as a convict. The blade of the Sun Sword is made of pure energy, which makes it super formidable. It can deflect magical and technological blasts and sorcery spells, cut through any material with ease, bearing the swamp beast's shoulder and bronze, and project energy blasts itself. Thundarr can ignite and extinguish the blade with his mental commands. In fact, any wielder can, provided that they can charge it themselves at the pool of power. With this sword by his side, Thundarr is a force to be reckoned with. And just like most textbook heroes, Thundarr is also a reckless man who charges at his opponents without thinking much and picks the strongest ones for his battles. However, he is smart enough to know when to retreat unless his friends are in mortal danger. Princess Ariel. Princess Ariel is the adopted daughter of the evil wizard Sabian and a friend of Thundarr's. She learned a lot about the history of the Earth and also about magic while studying in her father's library. She is also the one who freed Thundarr and Ookla and is now the brains of their trio. It is teased that Ariel may have Oriental origins. As a sorceress, she is quite formidable and has often beat several evil wizards in duels, namely Stria and the Abyss Wizard. She can animate objects and machinery, teleport herself, levitate others, create energy blasts and spheres, and manipulate matter to an extent. She can also hypnotize others to make them reveal their secrets. Simply put, you definitely should not mess with her. Ariel also has a bit of a crush on Thundarr, but he seems to care for her dearly in a very platonic way. Welcome to the friend zone, Ariel. Ookla. Similar to Thundarr, Ookla the Mok was also a captive of Sabian. He is insanely strong and can easily rip heavy objects apart. He has the face of a lion and the body of a human with ape-like strength. He often uses a longbow with arrows that can paralyze his opponents. He communicates by howling, and both Thundarr and Ariel seem to understand him perfectly. Similar to how your friends can speak absolute nonsense, and yet you will still understand them. For transportation, he sits atop a four-legged creature from the Echort species. These creatures are horses with reptilian features. Interesting facts about the series. Thundarr the Barbarian has a fantastic roster when it comes to the people involved in making it. With so many legendary heads working on the same project, several interesting things have been born in and out of the series. Number 1. The origin of Ookla's name. Our humanoid lion and monkey hybrid is slightly reminiscent of the Star Wars character Chewbacca. He was named by the creator Steve Gerber and his friends after two things: a puppet character named Ookla, from Ookla, Fran, and Ollie, and the abbreviation of the University of California, Los Angeles. That is UCLA. Now, why someone would refer to UCLA to name a character is one hell of a mystery, but an interesting one nonetheless. Number 2. The writers of the storyline. Some of the legends who were involved in creating the storyline for Thundarr the Barbarian, alongside Steve Gerber, were Martin Pascoe, Buzz Dixon, Ted Peterson, Mark Evanier, and Christopher Vane. The names are recognizable as Mark Evanier has previously worked on Garfield and Friends. Meanwhile, Buzz Dixon is the one who worked on Alvin and the Chipmunks, the original Transformers, and the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Number 3. Gemini's uncanny resemblance to the dark side. Jack Kirby designed most of the characters for this series. Having created Darkseid for DC, Kirby decided to somewhat base one of his bigger villains, the cyborg known as Gemini, on his iconic apocalyptian supervillain, Darkseid. As a result, Gemini could shoot laser beams out of his eyes, much like the Darkseid's Omega beams. 4. Ariel's Kryptonite. Ariel is smart, charming, and extremely powerful. With her vast knowledge of sorcery and her several abilities, it might feel like there's nothing that she cannot do. However, characters having a weakness or two helps add some spice to the story. And so, Ariel also had a weakness, resembling that of Wonder Woman's. Since, she needs to use her hands to cast spells, tying her hands together is an easy way to neutralize the threat that she poses. Number 5. The reason behind the show's cancellation. Thundarr the Barbarian has only 21 episodes. Despite its high ratings, it was discontinued. For long, many believed the cause to be the violence shown in the series, which was considered inappropriate for kids at the time. As it was targeted towards children, the violence from the action could not fly under the radar. However, this was proven to be false by Mark Evanier, who claimed that the show was canceled so that Laverne and Shirley in the army could air. Thundarr the Barbarian made history despite only having 21 episodes. Now, this is certainly a testament to how marvelous the show is from an entertainment and technical standpoint. And with that, today's video comes to an end. What did you think of Thundarr the Barbarian? And did you enjoy this video? If yes, then do not forget to like and subscribe on this video. Till then, goodbye and have a nice one.
The creature is banished. Let us take our leave.